There are places on Earth where sound feels unnecessary, where silence is not the absence of life, but its oldest language. The Atacama Desert is one of those places. Here, the land stretches outward in vast, motionless plains, as if time itself has slowed to a pause. The air is so dry it seems to drain moisture from thought itself. Mountains rise without warning, sharp and volcanic, their shadows unmoving beneath a sun that shows no mercy. Nothing rustles. Nothing flows. Even the wind appears hesitant, as though it has learned respect for this place. This is a desert where rain is a rumor, where centuries pass without a single drop touching the ground. Salt crusts shimmer like frozen seas. Valleys glow red and white beneath an endless sky. The soil is ancient, chemically hostile, untouched by decay. In some regions, the ground has remained unchanged for millions of years, and yet the Atacama does not feel dead. When night arrives, the desert transforms. The sky ignites with stars, sharp, countless, overwhelming. The Milky Way pours across the heavens like a river of light, unobstructed by clouds or humidity. In this clarity, Earth feels closer to the cosmos than anywhere else on the planet. The boundary between sky and land dissolves. To stand here is to feel exposed, to history, to geology, to the universe itself. Human presence feels temporary, fragile, almost accidental. The Atacama does not invite comfort. It offers perspective. This is a land shaped by extremes, guarded by isolation, and perfected by time. A place where Earth seems to hold its breath, waiting, watching, remembering. This is the Atacama Desert. The Atacama Desert stretches along the western edge of South America, occupying a narrow but immense corridor in northern Chile. It lies between two powerful natural forces, the Pacific Ocean to the west and the towering Andes Mountains to the east. This position is no coincidence. It is the very reason the Atacama exists. Millions of years ago, deep beneath this region, tectonic plates collided. The oceanic Nazca Plate began sliding beneath the South American plate, forcing the Earth's crust upward. Over time, this slow, relentless movement gave birth to the Andes, one of the longest and highest mountain ranges on the planet. These mountains rose high enough to block moisture carried from the Amazon basin, cutting the Atacama off from rainfall coming from the east. To the west, another force sealed the desert's fate. The cold Humboldt Current flows northward along the Pacific coast, chilling the air above it. This cooling prevents warm, moist air from rising and forming rain clouds. Instead, moisture remains trapped as low fog near the coast, rarely penetrating inland. Together, mountains and ocean formed a perfect atmospheric barrier, locking the Atacama into a state of near-permanent dryness. The desert's surface tells a story written in stone and mineral. Vast salt flats, known as salares, cover ancient lake beds that evaporated long ago. The Salar de Atacama, the largest of them, glows white beneath the sun, rich in lithium, potassium, and salt. These minerals remain exposed because nothing washes them away. Volcanic activity has left a dramatic imprint on the landscape. Dozens of volcanoes line the eastern horizon, some dormant, others still active. Peaks like Lecancabur and Lascar rise sharply against the sky, while Lulailaco, one of the highest volcanoes on Earth, holds frozen Inca ceremonial sites near its summit, preserved by cold and dryness for centuries. Erosion in the Atacama works slowly, but with precision. Wind sculpts rock into ridges, arches, and sharp-edged formations. Valleys display bands of color, reds from iron oxide, yellows from sulfur, blacks from volcanic basalt, creating terrain so surreal it resembles another planet. In fact, parts of the Atacama are nearly identical to the surface of Mars, making it a natural laboratory for planetary science. Unlike many deserts shaped primarily by sand, the Atacama is dominated by stone. Its landscapes are raw, exposed, and ancient. Nothing is hidden. Nothing is softened by time. Here, geology is not buried beneath life. It stands uncovered, telling the story of Earth itself. The Atacama Desert is not simply dry. It exists at the far edge of what dryness means on Earth. In some regions, centuries pass without measurable rainfall. Weather stations have recorded years, even decades, without a single drop of rain touching the ground. In places like Yungay, the soil has remained undisturbed by water for millions of years. This extreme aridity is the result of a rare convergence of atmospheric forces. The Andes Mountains act as an immense wall, blocking moisture from the Amazon basin to the east. Any air that manages to cross loses its remaining water as snow high in the peaks, leaving nothing to fall on the desert below. From the west, the Pacific Ocean offers little relief. The cold Humboldt Current cools the air near the coast, preventing warm, moist air from rising and forming rain clouds. Instead of rain, the Atacama receives fog. Known locally as Camanchaca, this dense, low-lying mist drifts inland from the ocean, especially along coastal cliffs. It moves slowly, silently, and unpredictably, sometimes vanishing before it reaches land, sometimes lingering just long enough to moisten stone. Yet even this fog rarely penetrates far into the desert's interior, leaving vast regions untouched by moisture. Temperature extremes further define the Atacama's climate. During the day, the sun burns fiercely, pushing temperatures beyond 40 degrees Celsius in exposed areas. At night, the heat vanishes just as quickly. With no moisture to trap warmth, temperatures plummet toward freezing. The desert breathes in extremes, heat and cold, brilliance and darkness. Ultraviolet radiation here is among the strongest on Earth. With clear skies and thin atmosphere at high altitude, sunlight strikes the ground with unusual intensity. Soil chemistry becomes hostile, rich in salts and oxidized minerals that inhibit life. Even decay slows to a near halt. Yet this harsh stability is precisely what makes the Atacama so valuable to science. Its climate has changed little over vast periods of time. The desert is a record, one of the oldest continuously arid environments on the planet, preserved in near-perfect stillness. At first glance, the Atacama appears lifeless, a place where survival seems impossible. The ground is sterile, water is absent, sunlight is relentless, and yet life persists in forms so subtle they are easily overlooked. The most resilient inhabitants of the Atacama are microscopic. Beneath the surface, inside salt crystals and porous rocks, microorganisms find refuge. These endolithic life forms survive by trapping microscopic amounts of moisture and shielding themselves from radiation. Some exist just millimeters below the surface, where temperature and light are slightly more forgiving. Their survival has drawn global scientific attention, offering clues about how life might exist on Mars or other planets. In rare years, the desert awakens. During powerful El Niño events, moisture reaches parts of the Atacama that may not have seen rain for decades. Seeds long buried beneath the soil suddenly germinate. Within days, the barren land transforms into a phenomenon known as the Desierto Florido, the flowering desert. Purple, yellow, and white blossoms blanket the ground, creating one of the most dramatic and short-lived transformations on Earth. Weeks later, the flowers vanish, returning the desert to silence. Water, when it exists, moves invisibly. Underground rivers flow beneath salt flats and valleys, feeding isolated oases like San Pedro de Atacama. These hidden water sources support human settlements, animals, and fragile plant communities. Without them, life would retreat entirely. Survival in the Atacama is defined by efficiency. Plants grow slowly, conserving energy. Animals emerge at night to avoid the sun. Every adaptation reflects a singular truth. Nothing here is wasted. Nothing is excessive. Even death behaves differently. Organic matter decomposes at an unusually slow rate. Ancient footprints remain visible for years. Human remains, tools, and structures endure far longer than in most environments. The desert preserves as much as it challenges. The Atacama teaches a quiet lesson, that life does not require comfort. It requires precision, patience, and resilience. In this hyper-arid world, existence is not loud or abundant. It is deliberate, and against all expectations, it endures. Life in the Atacama Desert does not announce itself. It hides, waits, and endures. The plants and animals that survive here are not numerous, but they are extraordinary, each shaped by evolution to withstand conditions that would erase most forms of life. Vegetation is sparse, yet highly specialized. Along the coastal edges, certain plants have learned to harvest moisture directly from the fog. Using fine hairs or waxy surfaces, they trap droplets of camanchaca and guide them toward their roots. Inland, cacti dominate the landscape, storing water for years at a time. Their thick skins reduce evaporation, while their slow growth reflects the desert's unforgiving pace. One of the most remarkable plants is the loretta. Growing in dense, cushion-like formations, it appears almost moss-like, but is, in fact, a flowering plant. Loretta grows at an astonishingly slow rate, sometimes less than a millimeter per year, and individual plants can live for over 3,000 years. In a land where survival is measured in patience, loretta is a living monument to endurance. Animal life concentrates where water exists, especially at higher altitudes. Vicuñas and guanacos roam the Andean plains, grazing on sparse vegetation and enduring thin air with remarkable efficiency. Their bodies conserve water, and their thick coats protect them from temperature extremes. High-altitude lagoons, rich in minerals, support colonies of flamingos whose pink feathers stand in striking contrast to the pale salt flats. Smaller creatures are no less adapted. Foxes, rodents, lizards, and insects emerge primarily at night, avoiding daytime heat. Many obtain moisture from food alone, never drinking liquid water. Even spiders and beetles display reflective exoskeletons and burrowing behaviors that shield them from solar radiation. Each species exists on a delicate edge. Remove a single factor, fog, underground water, seasonal temperature balance, and entire ecosystems collapse. In the Atacama, life survives not through abundance, but through balance. Long before satellites and telescopes studied the Atacama, people learned to read its silence. The desert has been home to human cultures for over 10,000 years. Among them, the Atacameño people, also known as the Licanantay, developed a way of life deeply intertwined with the land. Settling near scarce water sources, they built villages from stone and adobe, cultivated maize and quinoa, and domesticated llamas for transport and trade. Survival required cooperation, patience, and respect for nature's limits. To the Atacameño, the desert was not empty. It was alive with meaning. Mountains were considered sacred beings, protectors of water and life. Volcanoes were revered, feared, and honored through ritual. The sky itself was a spiritual guide, its movements marking time, seasons, and destiny. Petroglyphs carved into canyon walls still depict animals, caravans, and celestial symbols, silent records of belief etched into stone. The arrival of the Inca Empire in the 15th century deepened the region's spiritual complexity. The Incas integrated the Atacama into their vast network of roads and trade routes, constructing shrines and ceremonial platforms at extreme altitudes. On volcanic summits like Lulay-Laco, they performed sacred rituals believed to maintain harmony between the human world and the gods. The mummified remains found there, preserved by cold and dryness, remain among the most haunting archaeological discoveries on Earth. For indigenous cultures, water was sacred, not owned. Its presence dictated settlement patterns, rituals, and social structures. Even today, many local communities maintain traditional ceremonies honoring Pachamama, Mother Earth, offering gratitude for survival in a land that gives little but demands much. Colonial expansion and modern industry disrupted these traditions, but they did not erase them. Indigenous identity remains strong in the Atacama, carried through language, ritual, and memory. The desert, with all its harshness, became a spiritual teacher, one that emphasized humility, balance, and endurance. In a place where life is never guaranteed, belief becomes a form of survival. For centuries, the Atacama Desert was crossed rather than conquered. Indigenous trade routes stitched the region together long before foreign explorers arrived. Llama caravans moved slowly across salt flats and mountain passes, carrying maize, dried meat, textiles, copper, and shells between the coast, the high Andes, and the interior valleys. Knowledge of water sources was as valuable as gold. To travel here without guidance was to risk vanishing into the desert's silence. Spanish explorers arrived in the 16th century, drawn by rumors of silver and empire. What they found was a land that resisted occupation. The Atacama offered little comfort, little food, and no easy wealth. Settlements remained sparse, isolated, and dependent on indigenous knowledge for survival. For centuries, the desert remained largely untouched, too harsh to tame, too vast to control. Everything changed in the 19th century. Beneath the desert's hardened surface lay immense mineral wealth. Nitrate deposits, often called white gold, became essential for fertilizer and explosives, fueling agriculture and warfare across the world. Mining towns emerged almost overnight. Railways cut through barren plains. Ports expanded along the coast. The Atacama transformed from a forgotten frontier into a global economic engine. Cities like Iquique and Antofagasta flourished, while nitrate boomtowns such as Humberstone and Santa Laura buzzed with life. Workers, machines, and ambition battling the desert daily. The labor was brutal. Water was rationed. Heat and isolation took their toll. When synthetic fertilizers were developed in the early 20th century, the nitrate industry collapsed, leaving entire towns abandoned. Today, these ghost towns stand frozen in time, preserved by the desert's dryness, silent reminders of human ambition. Copper soon replaced nitrates as the desert's greatest prize. The Atacama became home to some of the largest open-pit mines on Earth, including Chuquicamata. In the modern era, lithium, essential for batteries and renewable energy, has emerged as the newest treasure, extracted from ancient brines beneath salt flats. Yet every extraction leaves a mark. Water consumption, land disruption, and cultural displacement continue to challenge the balance between progress and preservation. The desert gives its riches reluctantly, and the cost is never invisible. In a land defined by emptiness, humanity found clarity. The Atacama Desert possesses some of the darkest, clearest skies on Earth. Its extreme dryness removes moisture from the air. Its high altitude lifts observatories above atmospheric interference. Its isolation minimizes light pollution. Together, these conditions create a natural observatory unmatched anywhere on the planet. Here, the universe reveals itself with startling precision. International astronomical facilities rise from the desert like silent sentinels. The Atacama Large Millimeter/Sub-Millimeter Array, ALMA, spreads across the Chajnantor Plateau, its antennas listening to the faintest whispers of cosmic radiation. Nearby, observatories such as Paranal and Cerro Tololo peer deep into space, capturing images of galaxies billions of light-years away. These instruments do more than observe stars. They observe time itself. Light arriving at these telescopes began its journey long before Earth formed complex life. By studying it, scientists reconstruct the story of the universe, the birth of stars, the formation of planets, the behavior of black holes, and the origins of cosmic matter. There is a poetic symmetry in this pursuit. The driest place on Earth, where water is nearly absent, has become humanity's clearest window into the infinite. The same conditions that erase life from the surface preserve clarity in the sky. For ancient cultures, the stars were guides and deities. For modern scientists, they are data and discovery. But the feeling beneath the Atacama sky remains the same, a sense of humility. At night, observatory domes open silently. Telescopes turn skyward, and above the desert, the Milky Way burns bright, unbroken, and overwhelming. In this place, Earth feels small, and the universe feels close enough to touch. The Atacama does not merely host astronomy, it invites it. Despite its vast emptiness, the Atacama Desert is fragile. Its ecosystems survive on razor-thin margins, on fog that arrives a few days a year, on underground water that moves slowly through ancient rock, on balance maintained over centuries. When that balance is disturbed, recovery is measured not in years, but in lifetimes. Modern industry has placed increasing pressure on this delicate environment. Mining, particularly for copper and lithium, demands enormous quantities of water. In a desert where water defines survival, the extraction of underground brines and aquifers threatens lagoons, wetlands, and the species that depend on them. Flamingo populations, for example, are closely tied to the chemistry and water levels of high-altitude salt lakes. Small changes can ripple across entire ecosystems. Climate change introduces new uncertainty. Shifts in temperature and atmospheric patterns may alter fog formation, disrupt rare rainfall events, and intensify desertification. In a region already living at the limits of habitability, even subtle changes carry profound consequences. Tourism, too, presents challenges. The Atacama's surreal landscapes draw visitors from around the world. While tourism brings economic opportunity to local communities, unmanaged foot traffic, vehicle use, and development can damage fragile soil, ancient petroglyphs, and archaeological sites that cannot be restored once disturbed. In response, conservation efforts are growing. Protected areas now safeguard key habitats and cultural landmarks. Scientific monitoring tracks water usage, biodiversity, and climate patterns. Indigenous communities increasingly play a central role in land management, blending ancestral knowledge with modern conservation strategies. Their understanding of the desert, as a living system rather than a resource, offers a vital perspective. Preserving the Atacama requires restraint as much as action. It demands listening to the land, respecting its limits, and accepting that not every resource must be extracted. In a place where permanence is an illusion, conservation becomes an act of humility. The Atacama Desert does not reveal itself easily. It offers no comfort, no abundance, no forgiveness. Instead, it strips the world down to essentials: stone, sky, time, and silence. In doing so, it reveals something rare: clarity. Here, Earth shows its oldest face. Mountains rise without erosion's softening touch. Salt remembers vanished seas. Footprints linger long after their makers are gone. The past is not buried, it is exposed, waiting to be noticed. And above it all, the universe unfolds with astonishing intimacy. Stars burn brighter. Distances feel shorter. The night sky becomes a mirror, reflecting both humanity's curiosity and its fragility. In the Atacama, we search for answers in the cosmos while standing on ground that has outlived countless civilizations. This desert teaches restraint. It reminds us that survival is not about dominance, but balance. That progress carries responsibility. That silence has value. To walk through the Atacama is to feel small and strangely at peace. It is a place where the earth seems to pause, where life whispers instead of shouts, and where time stretches beyond human measure. Long after the machines fall silent and the lights fade, the desert will remain, still, watchful, and unchanged, written in stone and starlight.